everyone, and welcome to episode 26 of the Aussie Tech Security. I'm Glenn Goodman, and I'm joined in a minute by Amazon's #1 selling author on cybercrime, Roger Smith. You can grab him, or contact him even, at rniconsulting.com.au. Oh, I'm sure he wouldn't be opposed to a bit of a grab every now and then. Hey, Roger, how you going?
Good, mate. You're getting confused again.
Oh, no. How good was that intro, eh? You don't get them like that anywhere else, do you?
No. That was rehearsed really well.
Yes, it was. Yes. All right. Now, look, we've had a bit of a chat what we're going to talk about this week on the show, and we're going to talk about the artificial intelligence and how it's going to affect security, or how it is infecting security. A bit like the Skynet, I guess, from the
Skynet.
The Terminators. So I suppose let's start with what is artificial intelligence, I guess, in a brief definition, and AI for short. So if you hear us talking about AI, that's what we're talking about. So, Rog, can you tell us about what is artificial intelligence?
Well, they're now starting to develop systems that actually think from themselves, and that's what artificial intelligence is. But there's really three variations of artificial intelligence. So there's the true AI, which is learning all the time, just like humans do, burns its fingers, learns that that's a lesson and moves on. You've also got machine learning, which is has a level of programming that tells it what to do. And then you've got pattern recognition, which is, this is what we're looking for. Now you can develop your own artificial intelligence around it.
Right, yeah. So the companies out there, the big ones, the Microsoft, the Googles, and I guess the rest of them, they're all trying to develop what is it essentially? Is it just a computer that is running this thing, or do they build it? Is it just like a normal desktop, do you reckon? Is it just on a server?
No, for artificial intelligence to work properly, we need a fairly substantial system. So you're talking supercomputer type environment, and it's got to be. As we go forward, the amount of computing power that we can get onto chips will then increase, but decrease in size and everything else. So as we go forward, the size of the environment will get smaller, but the more computing power will actually get larger. So
in terms of, say, at the moment, in terms of where we are, is the artificial intelligence, is it aware of itself? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, one of the things they were sort of talking about with artificial intelligence was, you know the Japanese game called Go?
I've heard of Pokemon Go.
No, just Go. It's where you've got a big board and you've got black and white characters, and there's something like 70 billion moves to do.
Yeah, right.
Now they thought that artificial intelligence wouldn't be able to beat a human until probably mid next year. It happened in December last year. Now they've taken literally learning how to do it and whatever they need to learn how it all works. The computer learned all that, and then it learned from every time it played someone, and from there it then learned how to win.
Right. Okay. So it's in a supercomputer.
Yep.
So how does it start its existence? Like, is it just they build its own operating system, or DOS, or how does it is it command line?
No, that's a good question. I'm not really that up to date on how the actual
origins
actually works. From what I gather, the idea is to start with a operating system that runs everything, and then from there they build on what the system is learning as it goes forward. Right. So it learns from its mistakes. It learns that if I do this, I can't get it to work. I do this, it doesn't work. If I do this, it works. Okay, the next step is we go down that track and then go, I need to do this, 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 and this. These are the versions of, or the points that I need to do. It is exactly like how humans learn information. It literally goes, okay, I've learned that I don't touch the stove when it's hot because otherwise I'll burn my fingers, that type of thing.
Right, because I think one that's just come to mind is the IBM. They got this one called Watson, isn't it?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
So in the scheme of things, who do you think at the moment is the most advanced? Did you have an opinion on is it Watson, or is there another one out there that?
Well, there's three really in the contention at the moment. There's the one that Microsoft has built.
Yep.
Which they're still working on. There's the one that Google's built, and there's the IBM Watson one. Now, right. Watson is actually now started to be incorporated into some of the IBM's systems in its computer learning anyway. So we're using some of the Watson's capability, and it was Watson that beat the human at Go. What they're using the learning to do is work out cybercrime trends, yep. and also cyber security and how you can fight them.
Right. So once they develop it in-house in Watson, so then the idea is to get the same sort of technology and to maybe shrink it down or cut it up a bit, so to yep. speak, and then push it into like more commercial scenarios, into computers and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, this is, as you said about the Terminator component of it. We're going to see artificial intelligence go into the robotics area. Once that happens, where it goes, I don't think anybody really understands, but we're all quite happy to push it into there, and we're not really worried about the repercussions of it at the moment.
So at the moment, you might have seen, say, the way that AI is affecting our lives now yep. would be, like an example would be, say, Google's security, you know, when you've got to click on I'm a robot or I'm not a robot and all this sort of stuff.
Yep.
Well, apparently Google is working on, and I think have they worked out that they know if you're a human or not without even clicking that box now.
Well, there's a lot of development going in, especially through Google and Facebook itself, about how humans actually operate on the internet. Each person is unique, and the way they use the internet and how they use computers in the digital world are all different. So each time that you do something that reinforces their thought about what you're doing, the more it learns about you and what you're going to do. So it can actually then stipulate that, yes, that is Roger, that's what he usually ticks on, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Whereas previous to that, we didn't have what has been known as big data. We didn't have that capability to track what everybody is doing. And what the other thing is, people forget that everything you do on Google, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter is all being tracked. What you do, how you do it, how long it takes you to read something, what the repercussions of you clicking on a link are. This is why you'll get a lot of stuff on Facebook, for instance, that will actually mirror what you're actually interested in.
Yes.
So, in other words, if I have a lot of Navy friends that I used to relate to a lot, and everything that they do comes through my feed relatively regularly. If I suddenly changed my, I suppose, likes and dislikes, then Facebook would actually adapt to that and then start giving me information about what I was changing my likes into.
So I guess, like, in the short term, then it looks like the AI is going to try and be developed to help us in the way to fend off some security threats, some IT security threats. So yep. I guess, like, you know, out of the box software, like maybe a server, Microsoft server or something, it might have something built into it that it just will start to learn, adapt, and has previous knowledge of what a threat will look like, yep. and then block it. So
yeah, well, that's supposedly the theory behind it. They are Microsoft with Azure's systems that they put out there. Azure.
Yes.
Yeah, Azure is part of that learning process. They're learning what is targeted, how it's being targeted, what repercussions of things targeting it. We are now learning that this information is readily available to Microsoft. If you've got, 15,000 servers in an environment that you can actually manage to that level, yep. then you are going to get a hell of a lot of information. It goes back to big data and all that sort of stuff.
So just talking about this big data, and you mentioned that the Facebook collects your clicks and likes and blah blah, and Twitter does the same. Yep. But these companies are just collecting it for themselves, or are they just pooling it somewhere? Is it like an open source data pool, or
They are pooling it in a number of ways, but they use their own data to actually match the targeted marketing that comes up on Facebook, for instance. Right. What they've worked out is if I open up my Facebook page and I get an advert about something I'm totally uninterested in it, then either I'm going to have two things. One is I'm going to get annoyed about it, or I'm going to not click on it, which is not what they want. So the more targeted they can make it, the more focused it is on how you are actually using Facebook or using Twitter or using LinkedIn, then there's a better chance of them being able to get you to click on that link that they've now sold to someone else as an advertising program.
Look, and personally, I think that's a good idea because, I go through the Apple, when you set your iPhone up and all this, and it goes, do you want targeted ads or whatever? Yes or no. So obviously they're tracking what you're doing on the phone. And I just go, well, yeah, okay, because, why do I want to get an ad for, I don't know, botany? Or something,
use cars when you're not really interested in cars. That type of thing.
I'd much prefer to see an ad that, I don't really click on ads. I'm not. Look, the right hand side of Facebook, I really couldn't tell you what's there because I never look at it. It's in my blind spot.
Yes,
maybe I've grown up like that. I just don't do ads. But at least if I do look over there, I want to see something about computers or something about. Something, not trees or something like that. So I think that's in a way a good idea.
I agree.
So all this stuff is for the greater good. It's all coming through, and we're all going to be happy and secure and
supposedly.
Yes. Now, because what the good guys can do, sometimes the bad guys can do maybe a little bit better till we catch up.
Well, this is the other thing that we constantly forget about is once the systems have been developed by the good guys, the bad guys can do a number of things with it. One, they can invest a lot of money because they have actually got a lot of money to invest. They've also got what a lot of small and medium businesses haven't got, and that's time. They can sit down and go, okay, if we are using pattern recognition, machine learning, or AI to actually work out what are the best targets to actually target, then it's going to learn how to get through pattern recognition, targeting, and all of these sort of things as well.
Yes.
So by actually flipping it on its head and saying, well, the bad guys have access to this stuff straight out of the box, I can guarantee that something like Google's AI or even Watson has been stolen somewhere along the tracks, whether it was in its really low pre-use levels or whether it's been someone's just accidentally let it loose and didn't realise and someone else hasn't actually captured it. Now, to me, learning out or working out AI is going to be probably the next battlefield for the security of everybody on the internet.
Yeah, it's probably a bit of a worry, but so there's AI. Can it only expand to the size or to the point that it's programmed to expand, or do you think like the Skynet, it can become aware of itself and then wants to protect itself? And
once it becomes aware.
Yeah.
Look out, Skynet's aware. Okay, what does that mean?
Arnie.
I really don't know. We are talking about realms here that I only touch on because of what I see is happening. But learning how this is going to go and the next level of malware development, attack focus, levels, we really have to take some educated guesses on how it's going to actually impact everybody.
Do you think, and I know, you're not the king of AI, but do you think that the developers and all that are building in master switches? So if it got a bit too crazy, they just go, see you later, switch off?
Well, I think we've already seen that with Microsoft's one when it developed a personality that was racial.
Right.
And they bought it online, left it online for 24 hours, 36 hours, found out it was picking up all the bad stuff from the internet. They turned it off, took it off, and I think they've now redeveloped it. But that happened about 18 months ago. So we are looking at what is the next step. How can we turn it off if something does happen? But we're gonna see AI being incorporated into a large number of industries very soon. We're already seeing pattern recognition and machine learning in things like cars.
Yes.
Where the car won't allow you to get more than 5 meters away from another car before it slams on its brakes.
Right.
That is pattern learning, pattern recognition, and machine learning.
But do you think that things like that, like talking with the cars, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Like, because like with the accelerator control, what do they call it? The auto.
Yeah, cruise control.
Cruise control, that's right, yeah. So sometimes, or, if you've got a governor on your car or whatever, so you can't go past 110 kilometres an hour, which you can't do legally anywhere in Australia, I don't think.
That's right.
Yeah.
Darwin,
very rare.
To Alice Springs you can, but that's about all.
Yeah, there might be a few autobahns around up there somewhere. but so if they govern your car to 110, is that like artificial intelligence? Therefore, because I would think that that's a bit of a danger. Because if you go out to overtake and you think, geez, I can't make this, I've got to speed up, but then you're limited to 110, you could be involved in a problem.
But then also we got the same with the human attitude, which is no stinking computer is going to tell me what to do, which then becomes another problem anyway. Yes, I can see an augmented component where, for instance, Subaru's stopping within 5 meters of something and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a great thing, but what happens if you're in traffic and you want to get closer than 5 minutes? How is the override going to work? What sort of situation is that all going to be in? That type of thing, I think, is really important when we look at how we're going to manage AI and all of this machine learning stuff in its infancy.
So, would you be comfortable to be sitting in an office with, say, AI type robots, androids that look human? Would you be comfortable talking to a robot? Do you think?
No.
No. Well, I suppose even with going across to say entertainment side of things. Well, I'm not sure who's doing it, Japanese or some Americans, but they're making like female robots, aren't they? That are trying to
pleasure machines. Yeah,
that's right. So these things are starting to happen now, and I guess these pleasure machines, both sexes, they're going to learn and adapt and whatever.
Yeah. So we're going to do ourselves out of a job.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So how? Yeah. So security around. Yeah. So I'm just trying to think. Okay. So it's just another computer. So they obviously say the pleasure robots, they could be hacked as well. Like anything can be hacked, I suppose.
Well, this is right, and this is where. My attitude to trust no one really comes into its fore, because I don't trust anything that someone else can actually gain access to, which means that anything that's on the internet, anything that's connected to the internet, anything that's in the digital world, whether it's a PlayStation 4 or a smart house, there's always a possibility that something can happen and someone can gain access to it. If once they've gained access to it, what they do with it is not so important, but they can gain access and they can do something with it. And those are the two parts or the two criteria that I'm more than worried about at the moment. Have you seen the American robotic system that they're now developing and sending into Afghanistan?
No.
Okay, they've developed a quad-legged robot.
Oh yeah.
Now, when they first started off, it was actually plugged into a mainframe and it could do all sorts of weird, wonderful things. Up until about 12 months ago, they've actually developed an autonomous thing. It literally, you can tell it to follow someone, and it'll follow someone behind and carry packs and everything else. But it also has a fighting capability as well.
Right.
Okay, now that's been developed in the last 12 months.
Yes, yeah, okay. But just touching back on when you were saying, that you don't trust the computer, the robot, because it can be hacked or whatever. But realistically, in the real world, you can't trust a human either.
No, that's right. You never know when someone's going to turn on you and turn your life upside down, do you?
No, that's right. So for whatever reason, they've got their own goals and they're coming from their own positions. But yeah, so that's the same sort of thing. But I think a machine would be just more regimental in maybe its thought process, and say it would start out to be against you if it was going to be. But then if it's learning, who knows?
Yeah, it might learn to like you.
Yeah, and so it just opens up the Pandora's box of questions, doesn't it? Like, how much can it hold in its memory? What does it do when it's full? Does it just purge stuff and has to relearn and all this? Stuff?
They're trying to make it, and I don't know where quantum computing is going to come into this whole scheme of things, because that's going to be the next leap forward. When that happens, artificial learning is probably going to take off in a totally different direction anyway. Yeah. But it also means that you can have, like our normal brain, we can store information until we actually need it. Yes, there is a conscious and subconscious version. Now, artificial intelligence is in the conscious level. They haven't got the unconscious part where it's going to be working on problems in the background, and like if you sleep on a problem, it resolves itself, because the unconscious part of your brain comes into the fore.
Yes,
all of that sort of stuff is literally what they're trying to develop at the moment. Now, when they get to that, wow, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, but it is amazing, isn't it? Like, because your brain must be the most advanced computer that's ever existed, and getting something that's organic, trying to replicate it in something mechanic. Is obviously going to be hard. Maybe it will never happen because just of the difference of the way it's made up. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I think also they reckon that Watson, IBM's Watson, has got the capability of a 9-year-old at the moment.
Right.
Fair enough. That's in social structures and all that sort of stuff, or understanding how the world works. But there are parts of it, as I said, when it learned how to beat a human at Go, it would. You have to take it to the next level, because if that is happening, you're talking about a 25, 30-year-old brain.
Yes, yeah, and if you can make it mobile, it's going to start getting crazy, isn't it? Who knows where the world's going to be in 100 years?
But,
and I suppose you can't have the human can't have a master switch, because say the robot gets sent into a war zone, you can't have the enemy just going off and, and it turns off.
Yeah. Oh dear. And that's again, that comes down to the hacking, the actual components of it. And this is one of the things that I'm focused on is, we can a war will be fought with guns and bullets and rockets and everything else. But if I can send my guns and bullets, or your guns and bullets, to somewhere that's 4,500 miles away, when you're doing something on the front, then you've got a major problem. And I can do that by sitting in my basement and literally having a connection to the internet.
Yeah. It just reminds me, I know we've spoken, it reminds me of Terminator. It also reminds me of an older episode of Doctor Who. I think it was called The Robots of Death, with Tom Baker. I'm not sure if you're into Doctor Who or seen that one, but it's about a group of people that, surrounded by robots that are supposed to help the humans do whatever task. Intelligent ones, they talk and they, blah, 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 blah. And then come to a stage where they've been altered in some way. There was a baddie, there, and he's altered the brain of the robot, and they've started killing everyone.
Yeah, so they were hacked.
Yes, essentially, that's right. Exactly, yeah, they were hacked. They were hacked, and then each robot, after it was hacked, started to hack the next robot. So and it just spread like that, crazy stuff. Well, I think I think that's pretty much done as much as I can think of about AI in this limited platform. Is there anything else, Roger, that you think we should know about artificial intelligence?
Yeah, don't trust the bastards.
No, just keep away from them. So, all in all, are you? When it comes down to it, are you for it to a certain extent, or would you like it to stop?
To tell you the truth, I'm in two minds. I'm in the mind that yes, it's great that we've got all this stuff coming forwards and we're doing all this development stuff and everything else, but we still need to be in a position where we look back and go, if the bad guys gain access to it, how much damage can they do?
Yeah.
And whether that bad guy is another AI or it's a human who has a really clever knowledge, we still have that problem of we've got to think outside the box. How if I wanted to hack this robot, how am I going to do it? Do I have to plug in something, or can I do it remotely? Is it got a, even if you think about something like iRobot, everybody's got a servant working in the house. What happens if I hack the mainframe that manages it? That type of stuff. We've got to start looking at how these things can cause a problem and how we resolve those problems. Before we go, yes, it's great and flashy and new and let's get everybody to have one. What is the security components and what is the overarching infrastructure that's actually going to be in place to protect us?
Yeah, and I know like we're talking specifically here about like the robots, the artificial robots, but I think is it a point where as the world has gone on, with Facebook and the iTunes and Spotify's and all this sort of stuff, everyone's going, oh yeah, digital music, yeah, this is the future. But then after a little while, we've had all this digital music, but we seem to be pining for the old school vinyl now. The vinyl record's coming back. So is it just like we'll end up with these robots, but then you walk down the street and you just talk to a deadpan face, if you know what I mean. Like there's no twinkle in the eye, there's no human interaction. We'll be pining for humans.
I'd hate to be a coffee maker in the near future, a professional coffee maker, where the whole line is robots coming to get their master's coffee.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. Well, they'll have a better system by then, surely.
No.
All right. Well, that's about it for this episode. So thanks for joining us. You can contact Roger. Where are you? Where's your email, Roger? What's your? We just go to RNI Consulting, don't we?
Yeah, that's right.
.com.au. You can catch me on the Twitter at Glenn Goodman or at Aussie Tech Heads, and we are brought to you by athwebhosting.com.au. If you're after shared web hosting services at an affordable price, about 3 clicks, and you'll have a WordPress installed. So everything's great. All right, thanks, Roger. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Glenn.
No worries, and hopefully we'll see you guys again soon as well. Okay, take care. Bye for now.